Hello dear students, I'm making this video as a tutorial for how to make a slightly more advanced podcast. So we can call this How to Make a Podcast 2. We're going to use a multi-track editor. The really basic version of making a podcast is just recording an audio track with your phone and publishing it online, for instance, on your website. Today we're going to do something slightly more advanced, how you can add music, perhaps effects, and to adjust levels and take control of your podcast. So we're going to use software called Audacity. It's at audacity.com, and this is a free software for Windows. It's used professionally, and it will be more than enough for your needs. So let's take a look at Audacity. This is the interface of Audacity, the editing program. It looks very advanced. There's lots of stuff that you probably have no idea what they do. Same thing goes for me. I have no idea what these do. I normally edit in a Macintosh environment, so this program is also new to me. So it took a while to figure out some things. I've had to watch a couple of tutorials on YouTube, but that's just regular stuff. That's what you need to do when you learn something, to learn a new program. In this version, I'm afraid it's in Swedish, but it doesn't really matter. The few words that we're gonna use here are almost the same in English, and I will explain them, and after that it's mostly just pictures. So the point, what we're going to do here is to create a multi-track and be able to play 2 tracks of audio at the same time. The first thing what we're going to do is to import. We go to Archive, it's Swedish arkiv, Archive, and Import. And this means sound, or I guess it says audio in the English version. Then I take the same the same file that I used in the previous tutorial about podcasts. It's this one, podcast test 2. So I will use this one and import it. And now you can see that in an editing program you get a much better picture of what's going on. So when I started here, then these are sound waves. So in this way it will be possible to edit. Hello and welcome to this test podcast. We are today talking about how to make a podcast. For instance, here I drew my breath. That's of course okay, and I think you should sound as natural as possible, but let's say that I want to remove the part where I draw my breath. Then I can go here, this is a magnifying glass, and I choose this one as my tool, and that's exactly what it does. It magnifies. So now I go back to the marker. If I can play this. I'm not sure whether you can hear it through the microphone, but I'm playing this sound where I'm catching my breath. So now I would use the marking tool to just activate the part, and I can choose how much or how little, and then I press backspace, and there it goes. If you do something that you're not happy about, then go and change your mind. But here we're gonna edit this one. So now when I play it back, it's not there anymore. You can use the magnifying glass again, but now if you press Shift on your keyboard, you see that the plus turns to a minus. Might be hard to see if you watch on a small screen, but that's what it does, and then it demagnifies, so you get an overlook again. So this track is now on track 1. What we're going to do now is to add another track and put in, for instance, some music for an intro. Then you need to go to Tracks, Here it says spår in Swedish, but in the English version it's track or tracks, and I add a new audio track. So you see it appears here, and now I can choose to work with these two. I can activate the first one like this, or I can activate the second one. So what I do when one of the tracks is activated, that will only affect the track that I'm working on. So if I activate this one, go to Archive, Import, Sound, just like I did before. Now I will bring in a sound file, and as you can see, it will play out in the this one appears for some reason. Now I have two tracks. This is track 1, where I have the speech or the speak from the podcast. This is track 2, where I have some music. If I want to now just edit the music, I can go here and press solo. When I press solo, the other tracks, in this case the other track, will become bleak and lose its color. That's because now if I play this forward, I can only hear this track. If I deactivate solo, then I can hear both at the same time.
Welcome to this test podcast. We are today talking about how to make a podcast.
So if I want to listen to track 2, now they both start at the same time, but I probably want to have the intro going for a few seconds, and then I can fade the music and turn down the volume of the music so I can hear the speech more easily. And then, for instance, at the end of the podcast, I will use music again and turn it up, and that's the end of the podcast. In order to move things around, you need this tool. It's the time shift. It's a double arrow. So I press this one, and when I've done that, I can move this one around. I can also move this one around. So now I will move this one away because I want to edit the beginning of the podcast and the music and track 2. And if I now listen to the music, I can let it go a few seconds. And let's say here at this point, I can choose to bring in the speech. Then I need to use the arrows again, the time shift, and I can get it back to where I want the speak to start. So now, if I play this from the beginning, then the music is going on here, and as you see, this will soon start. And there I start speaking. But the volume of the music is too high, so I have to turn down the music while I'm speaking. This is done with this tool. It's called envelope. I have no idea what that means, but when you press this one, you can go and set markers. You just press it at least 2 places, and then you can squeeze. Normally it wants you to actually use more than 2 places. Then I can start squeezing. Just if I move it up, then the sound curve will go up. If I move it down, then it will shrink. When it shrinks like this, this is the volume. That means that the volume will go down. So what I'm trying to do here is to have the music on at full volume here, but just before I start speaking, I turn down the volume. So here, when I start speaking, the volume is already down enough so you can actually hear what I'm saying. I will try to record this into the microphone and see, so you can hear.
to make a podcast. Thank you very much. I have been your host. My name is Matthias. Please listen to us next time, and please visit www.podcasting.com. Thank you very much.
Then I might want to raise the music again, so I make a click there and I click here. Then I could raise the music. I could raise the level of the music. But perhaps I would want to use the end of the song instead to make a nicer outro. So I will mark it here, and I will use something from here. So this part I can erase. Now I guess this will probably I could take away some more and just use the really last part like this. Now this is not going to be a fantastic mix, but just let's try. I'll go again and I make these clicks here, so I get these curves of sound volume that I can change. So now, because the volume is so low, so even if the mix between, I have cut up the song, even if the mix is not fantastic, I don't think you will hear it because, well, the volume is so low. And then here it fades up again and the song ends. So let's see what that might sound like.
Please listen to us next time, and please visit www.podcasting.com. Thank you very much.
So what happens here is that on the musical track, the music starts at full volume. Then I turn the volume down on the music. I have added this part where I'm speaking, and then while I speak, the volume is very low. Then I have turned the music up again, and now the track goes on its end. But as you can see, the track actually fades in itself because it's a song that fades out. When you are happy with your podcast, you go to Archive, Export Audio, and you can name it something, Podcast Final Version, for instance. I save it here in WAV, press save, and blah blah blah. Okay, and now it's on my podcast final version. There we go.
Hello and welcome to this test podcast. We are today talking about how to make a podcast. Thank you very much. I have been your host. My name is Matthias. Please listen to us next time, and please visit www.podcasting.com. Thank you very much.
So this is in brief how to make a podcast where you can use effects. You can of course do it much better than just now, but it will take a longer time. So if you just learn the basic commands and the basic functions of the program, and you play around with it for a while, then I'm sure you can make a podcast that's good enough for this course. Thank you very much. Bye bye.